He graduated from the University of the State of New York with an Associate in Science in 1987, Lancaster Bible College with a Bachelor of Science in Biblical Studies in 2000, and Eastern Mennonite Seminary with a Master of Divinity in 2004. John is currently serving the Veterans of Virginia as a local Veterans Employment Representative, where he assists veterans in finding adequate employment. Prior to taking this position with the Virginia Employment Commission, he served in multiple positions in the United States Army. His assignment prior to retiring was at the United States Army Chaplain Center and School in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. During John's previous instructor assignment, he achieved recognition as an Army and Air Force Master Instructor. He also completed the requirements for the Air Force Teaching Practicum and the Colorado State Vocational Teaching Certificate, both in 1993. He has a list here of military awards and decorations that goes on forever. So I will dispense with that. But anyway, welcome, John. We're happy to have you here with us.
Thank you very much. Put together. Again, thank you very much, Barbara. I greatly appreciate the offer to be here and speak to you all. Again, my name is John Jacobson. My official title is Local Veterans Employment Representative. I work out of the Virginia Employment Commission office on 419 North Cameron Street. We just moved to that new office. It's a good place to work. So what do we do? That's a lot of times the question folks would have for us, and how does it work? So I would like to go back and talk to you about a grant that was approved by Congress originally back in the 40s after World War II. So if you think of World War II and everybody being demobilized and sent home after the war, and then couple that with the downsizing of an industry that is no longer needed, right? An industry that supported the military, that was making tanks, ammunition, planes, everything that was needed for that fight is now no longer needed, so they have to either retool or close. And during that time, my grandfather had a machine shop in Honeybrook. He made guns for the military. And I believe that was part of the beginning of the demise of his machine shop, because the other businesses can no longer support that. So they approved a grant called Jobs for Veterans State Grant. So you can go online and look it up, because it continues to get approved. The organization that administers that is the United States Department of Labor. So they actually distribute the funds to every state and territory in the United States that have military. So how do they figure out how much funding each state should get? Well, that depends on the number of veterans the state has. And so they're able to track that as we're getting out, where we're going and so forth. And it doesn't matter what you register for. If you do taxes, you need to identify yourself as a veteran. If you're getting a job, you need to identify yourself as a veteran. And so they track that. And so the Commonwealth of Virginia gets these funds and decided that the Virginia Employment Commission would administer those funds. So I get paid through the Virginia Employment Commission, but in all reality, I work for the United States Department of Labor, because they're the ones that have oversight on our system. So there's two of us at the office that do what we do. My title again was Lead Veterans Employment Representative, and my co-worker in Winchester is Ashley Moslak, and her title is Disabled Veterans Outreach Program Representative. So there's two of us that work together, and we cover Shenandoah County, Warren County, Clark County, Frederick County, and a little bit of Loudoun. That's our area. So the other areas in the state have folks like us, and the more densely populated, they have more DevOps that do what Ashley does. And so we go out, and my role is to do outreach. So I come to things like this, Roartons, Rotaries. I go to businesses. So if you're working at a facility, you have my card, shoot me an email or give it to somebody. that might be interested in having me come and speak to them, the HR personnel or so forth. So how do we function? My role again is to do outreach, and I go to businesses. So yesterday I was up at the jail, Rappahannock, Shenandoah, and Warren County Jail, I believe it is, a nice new facility. I like the looks from the outside. It was okay to be in the HR office, but I don't want to be in any of the other parts of the facility as a permanent resident, as you can understand that. So I go out and I meet with the employers and find out what their needs are and what they're looking for, and also find out whether or not they would be open to hiring veterans. And some of the veterans might have various struggles in life, so we work on helping those. So I work with the employers, again, to determine what their needs are and who's out there and make awareness of the program. Ashley, the Disabled Veterans Outreach Program representative, works directly with the veterans. So if the veterans come in and they can possess various, what the Department of Labor refers to as significant barriers to employment. So if you think back to times that you were looking for employment and the struggles that you have, sometimes it might be that you are young. Some of us have children. My children are all adults. But there was a point where they were 18 to 24-year-olds, and you think of the experience that they have. And a lot of our young soldiers, whether they're Virginia Guardsmen that drill at Woodstock or Warrington or the Harrisonburg Armory or up here in Winchester, when they come back from deployments and they go back to their job or try and go back to their job, USERRA might not cover them. And so they're out looking for a job, and those 18 to 24-year-olds are some of the folks we work with. Some of the veterans that we work with have previous records or have been incarcerated. And if you know somebody that's been incarcerated, you know that oftentimes when you mark that on the application, you have a difficult time getting a job. And there's a part of it where you know some of my history from what you heard just a few moments ago. So there's an idea that maybe not all of us can be correct ourselves. We have a law enforcement officer back in the back, and he can probably attest to that as well. Some folks just continue to do or make poor choices, but other folks realize that they don't want to be back inside of those facilities again, and they need to make life changes. And sometimes we need to help them do that and take chances. So we help those veterans and try and figure out how we can get them employed as well. Some of the folks are homeless. So the law specifically dictates who we can help. Some of those folks, they could be a spouse of a veteran, and they could be in a very bad situation, or children of a veteran where there's abuse going on. And so we're allowed to assist those members as well to help them get employment. Some of it could be underemployment. You know, you think about a couple that are married, they have a couple kids, but he's only making 12 bucks an hour. And you sit down and do the math and you say, how in the world are they living? So we're able to help them if they're underemployed. And so that's what Ashley does. She works with them and helps them to get job ready. So then we review Ashley reviews their resume. She goes over interview questions with them, finds out whether or not they have appropriate clothing. Sometimes transportation might be an issue, help with that. Figure out whether or not they need child care and be able to assist with that. Now, oftentimes we're not the ones that actually do the child care and things like that, but Ashley has sat down and put together a 50-page list of organizations in our region that can assist veterans and their families. Some of them are Tech for Troops. So David, right? David's got his Dell computer. Some of the veterans can't afford computers. So Mark Casper out of Richmond has an organization, a nonprofit that's called Tech for Troops. And so we can get veterans through his organization laptops that have been turned in from organizations that decided they needed the latest thing, and the other laptops are 2 years old. And so he gets them, wipes them clean, refurbishes them, He gets Dell bags or HP bags, and he's able to literally, we tell him we've got a veteran, he asks us to fill out a form, we fill out the form, send it to him, he'll send us a laptop, or I can go down and pick it up, and so we get laptops and things like that. There's organizations in the area that do equine therapy, right, for veterans, where they're taking the veterans out and their family members and working with horses and things like that. So Ashley's able to do that, and so that's another way we can help the veterans. When they come to the, if you're a veteran and you come to the Virginia Employment Office, by law, you are authorized to have priority of service. So this might not seem fair to everybody else in here that is as a civilian and has never had military service, but literally if we were doing a resume class and we had 12 seats and they were all filled with civilian personnel that had no military service, and we had 2 veterans come in, we could ask the civilians, two of the civilians, to volunteer out or select 2 and move them out because the veterans have priority of service because of the service they have given. And again, then if they have the significant barriers to employment, they are brought to the Disabled Veterans Outreach Program representative for assistance. So what I would like you all to do is right, if it takes a community to raise a child, it takes a family to defend a nation, it takes the community also to care for our veterans, and if you know that this program exists, you can go back out and tell others about the program. You can also tell family members who might need assistance, and you can tell friends and neighbors. You can also pass this along to businesses and say, if you're interested in helping veterans, have John come over and we can discuss the program a little bit further. But that's what we do. That's how we do it. And I'm dropping the mic. That's okay, I think. Like you. It does. Here we go. Sorry, Dave. You'll have to cut that out, Dave. Make it funny. So, are there any questions at this time for me? Yes, sir.
John, I have a comment. So
Okay.
Just make you aware of, you may already be. I work for Wells Fargo.
Okay.
Wells Fargo actually has a special program to help onboard veterans at the bank level and financial services
Awesome.
level. And so I'm not sure if you all are plugged into that, but I know we have a bunch of locations here in the Northern Shenandoah Valley, and you might find some success in placing veterans for jobs that we have open.
Very good. I will do that. I'll pursue that. Thank you very much. And it's George, right?
Yeah, George Carnes. I can give you a card before heading out.
Thank you, George. Yes, sir, in the back.
Yeah. About how many vets do you see through your office in a year?
Well, I can't tell you completely a year. I could probably go back and do that research, and I'll have that answer for the next group. But we probably take care of, in the Winchester office, probably between 6 and 10 a month we have coming through. We might have more, but we don't see them because they don't have barriers to employment. If we were over in the DC area, a higher density of population, there's more, and the folks down in the Norfolk, Tidewater region of Virginia, that is probably the heaviest populated military population anywhere else in the world. When you sit down and think of the Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marine bases that are down there, it is just amazing. And those folks are swamped. They don't really need to go out and do outreach because people know, word of mouth gets around, and they just have veterans coming in and day out. But it's pretty busy. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your presentation. And interesting, as I've gotten older, I've become aware of the ageism of retiring, and you probably have even higher proportion of veterans than people who are near or at the previously normal retirement age. Almost no one can afford to retire now, and people that age are very embarrassed of being unemployed and taking it. Do you have any special ways to help that subgroup?
Yes, the program actually is set up to help those as well. I mean, we go out and, again, work with the employers and find out what they're looking for. Now, obviously, I went to a company in Ashburn yesterday and spoke with them, and they're doing carpentry work. Now, I can do some of that. I'm remodeling a house, but I can tell you at 55, it's different crawling around in a crawl space or crawling in the eaves of an attic. I'm putting a heat pump in my house. And so I get out of there and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I got to stop doing this. And I don't want to do roofing. However, there's an awful lot of jobs out there that folks that are 50 plus can do. Some of it depends on what they're willing to do as well, though, and willing to take sometimes a change in the pay rate than what they were used to doing. That was, in a sense, a struggle for me. I retired 30 September of last year, and it took me, I didn't start working again until the 25th of March of this year, and it was very frustrating because I have a varied background, and I don't want to come across arrogant, but there's probably very few jobs that I can't do because I've had to do various positions. And when you do stuff in the military, you get thrown in, especially the young men and women that go to deployed areas and so forth. They're expected to function far above what anybody else realizes and do jobs that they never thought they would do and do them well, because if you don't do them well, somebody's going to get injured or killed. And so then you come back out and you're looking for positions. And so there's times that I sit down and think, well, was it because I was 55 that I didn't get the position? Is it because when you look at my education, you realize that I'm probably a Christian and I must have been fairly into it if I went to seminary, so maybe we don't want this guy here. Maybe we're kind of against the military, so we don't want this guy. So there's a lot of those things that are out there, and we try and help to remove those barriers. Can we do it for everybody? No, but we